A couple months ago, my dad hit me up and told me that he bought a set of juggling balls and he was gonna learn how to juggle to keep the brain active, work on that coordination, and just learn a new skill. I know how to juggle and I have for quite some time. It's not like I've got some crazy skills with it, but because of this, I was inspired and I promised my dad that I'd make a video on how to juggle for true beginners. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to do this, and I'm gonna show you a few different variations that I like to use in my training and daily life. This is a great way to practice that coordination and rhythm. It's a fun skill that you can continue to build on if you want to, and I find it's an amazing way to relax my mind and be under stress, but relax into it. So like I said, this is a stressful task, and eventually you'll be able to relax into it, but I want you to recognize that and just take a few breaths. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And I want you to come back to that anytime you're feeling stressed through this process of learning. The first step is ditching two of the balls and just focusing on a single ball toss. So I'm gonna toss this up. I want it to come over to the other side as accurately as I can. So I'm kind of tossing towards opposite shoulder or like at eye height there and then down. So you'll notice this arch. It's not going to be perfect every single time, but you're just getting a sense of consistency. If you're super new to this and it's really uncoordinated, it might be really big or kind of all over the place, whatever. Just stick with it. That accuracy is going to develop over time. We want that toss to remain pretty much in that same plane here. So if we notice that it starts to come out a little bit more or it's really tight to the body, just be aware of that and focus on developing that consistency. If you need a little bit more practice with the single bag toss, pause the video and come back for step 2 when you're ready. Step 2, grab your second bag or ball, and we're gonna add a second toss. As a true beginner, we wanna focus on what is easiest, what is most accessible. So I'm gonna start by tossing with my dominant hand. I'm left-handed, just so you know, so if you're right-handed, you can mirror me. So I'm gonna go toss, toss, catch, catch. Toss, toss, catch, catch. So toss, toss, catch, catch. 1, 2, catch, catch. 1, 2, catch, catch.
1, 2, catch, catch. 1, 2, catch, catch.
Again, focusing on that accuracy and consistency with the tosses. It's not going to be perfect every time. That's okay. Just do your best to find your rhythm, relax into it, remember to breathe, and do your best. As we add that second toss, things might start to come out in front of you. So do your best to stay on that same distance away from your body to provide that level of consistency. Toss, toss, catch, catch. 1, 2, catch, catch. 1, 2, catch, catch. Same thing, if you need a little bit more time, pause the video and come back for step 3. Step 3, you guessed it, we're gonna add the third bagger ball and we're gonna add a toss. So I'm gonna start with 2 bags in my left hand, my dominant hand, and I'm gonna start by tossing on that side. So I'm gonna go toss, 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 catch, catch. Notice how this lands in my other hand, so I'm going to switch back over and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, catch, catch. When you're going for that 3 toss, right? So 1, 2, 3, catch, catch. Focus on just getting that skill down. Even if it's super busy, right? Even if it's all over the place, even if you drop a bag. Now, We're going to take it a step further, and this is how you can continue to scale your juggling. All it is adding one more toss and then catch, catch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, 4, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm in it, right? So just adding that toss every single time is going to allow you to continue to scale on it. It doesn't have to be this perfect pattern. Once you get the skill down, now you've got something to work with and you can start to log some reps. Now there are a couple of common mistakes that I want you to be aware of. The first one is the hands coming up high. That comes from us not really thinking we have a lot of time with the bags in the air. So what happens is we start to kind of like juggle higher up there and everything gets really muddied and kind of difficult to stay. The first thing is breathe and recognize that you have a little bit more time than you realize. So if you can start to trust that pattern and trust the rhythm, you can keep the hands down, you can stay relaxed through the shoulders, and you can find some nice consistency through the cascade pattern. The other thing to recognize is the way that we develop that trust, and that is going back to those basics. So 1, 2, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, 4, catch, catch, and continuing to build out that pattern in that fashion. This doesn't happen all at once. You've got to build up your trust and your rhythm, and then you can keep it going. The second common mistake is something I already mentioned. So when we get this pattern going, we start to kind of like toss it out in front. We might have to move and walk with it. One of the things that happens there is that toss is a little bit more up and down. And I had this issue. I'd walk forward, and then the big thing with this is eventually the bags hit each other. We don't want to have that. We want to have something that we can consistently work with. First thing is developing that good sense of kind of tossing towards that opposite shoulder and having some of that arc pattern. And the other thing is, if the bags are moving out in front of you, your pattern's moving out in front of you, come over to a wall and then just hit that pattern or whatever you've got. And what this will do is the environment will inform you when you're coming into the wall. This will force you to stay in that same sort of plane that we talked about. By addressing those two common mistakes, you can avoid a lot of the frustration that I went through when learning how to juggle. And with this, you'll be able to level up as well. So once you get this base pattern down, it's not like I have a lot of skills with other patterns, but this sort of stuff, juggling in one hand, and staying in that same plane, that became a lot more accessible when I addressed the two things, coming up high and then also keeping it in that same plane. There you go. Hopefully you got it down. If not, keep practicing. Now I want to show you a few different use cases that have allowed me to integrate juggling into my life and training. By doing these, you'll be able to log more reps, invest more time in your juggling practice so you'll get better, and then you'll also be able to see how this carries over into other activities, other experiences in your life. The first way I've been able to integrate juggling into my life is by simply setting a timer for 3 to 5 minutes and going into my practice. So maybe you're just on that single toss. Maybe you've got toss, toss, catch, catch, 1, 2, 3, catch, catch. Maybe you've got the pattern down and you're just looking to groove in it. That's awesome. And setting that timer for 3 to 5 minutes doesn't make this a huge task to show up for. You could keep going after the 3 to 5 minutes. You could also just stop. That's fine. This allows you to be consistent and log reps so you can get better. I'll use this 3 to 5 minute interval as a way to wake up in the morning, get the brain activated. It's also a great way to break up some work. So if I've been at the computer the entire day, I have 3 to 5 minutes of this. This gets my eyes moving in some different ways. my brain activated in a fun and creative way. And another thing I want to point out is this could be a nice little replacement for a cup of coffee. You hear that, Dad? Number 2, I juggle during my workouts. So let's say I'm doing a circuit of 3 to 4 exercises. I'll throw juggling in there, and it's a nice way for me to just get some reps in and play around with some different variations. I'll show you those in a sec. The other thing I really like to do, this is my favorite, is let's say I do something really demanding like a heavy sandbag squat, and I'm heaving for breath, my nervous system is fried after that. I go into juggling during my rest period. And what this does is, one, it'll allow me to kind of check in to see where I'm at. So maybe if I'm really busy all over the place, like I know that, man, I'm tired, I might need to take a little bit more rest. It also allows me to get centered in that fatigue. So I breathe, I'm training my motor skills, I'm training this coordination. When you are tired, the first thing to go is your motor skills, your coordination, your balance, your rhythm. That's when your biomechanics fail. So if I can train in that fatigued state, find center, be able to engage with the task, this is something that's going to carry over when I'm tired, let's say playing a sport, and I want to be able to perform. Now, because we're talking training, I'm going to show you a few ways that I like to progress juggling without necessarily learning a more complex pattern. The first one is changing levels. So let's say I find this position, my feet are a little bit wider, I'm going to change levels as I sink down into a squat. Maybe that's going into a hinge pattern, and this is just changing the position, and I've got to be able to adjust to that, maintain my engagement with the task at hand. I can also go into lunges. You can see that didn't go well, but coming out in front, lunging, out to the side, opening up, and just continuously layering on a little bit more challenge, even though the pattern stays the same. Another way to level up is changing the size and the weight of the objects that you're juggling. So these are 2-pound balls each. This one's a little bit bigger. This is a lot more demanding on my hands and my wrists. I'm feeling this a lot more in my core. And because the balls are a little bit bigger, I really have to zone in on that cascade pattern. So throwing towards the opposite shoulder. I can still do the same things that I just showed you. You can see it's getting a little bit more challenging. Lowering levels, whatever. That one's pretty tough, but I don't have to learn a new pattern to get into that. The third way I integrate juggling into my life is pairing it with another skill or sport. So I'll go down to the court with my juggling balls and I'll work on, let's say, some handles. Maybe I get some shots up, working through space. If I give myself a different task, like juggling, still using my hands, still using my eyes, this provides a different stimulus. Let's say you have a particular sport that you play, like tennis, Dad. Well, you could bring the bags down to the court, get some juggling in before you play, maybe during your water break or rest period. It's a nice way to catch your breath. Work on relaxing the body, finding rhythm and coordination, and then you go back to your task and oh my gosh, I'm so good, right? I'm way better. I mean, maybe. But over time, we're developing that skill of being able to adjust and be dynamic with our movement. Allow our brain to solve problems without having to think about it a ton. And that to me is one of the secret things of athleticism. We're able to perform the tasks without having to think as much, get in our head, tense up, and we can truly relax and just do our thing. That's all I've got for you in this one. If you're able to get that pattern down, great. If not, that's totally fine too. Work on those steps, keep practicing, and this stuff will continue to become easier and easier for you. If you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I will see you next time. Stay smooth.